We look out as God's own awareness on God's perfect kingdom. We look within and without as God's own self-awareness, beholding the perfection. God knows, God is. Now, how does this differ from previous studies? Well, other studies, all of them, have fallen away into the belief. Well, I'll put it like this. Other studies began with a mortal sense of self, with a human sense of self, with a personal sense, with a fictitious fraud, with a body identity, who is straining and striving to get to the high mark, to attain a new understanding of God, to get back to God, to use the knowledge that it attains of the ineffable to work some new wonder in his or her personal experience. Now, I think the essences of the world's great ideas began with the first view up there. It began with the high mark of God's allness, but fell away, quickly fell away, because it is a man's normal and natural tendency to hang on to himself and to try to lift that up to God. Consequently, it wasn't long until the pure ideas, as they were originally enunciated by Jesus, by Buddha, by Lao Tzu, by Catherine, by John of the Cross, and by countless others, it wasn't long until they were brought down to the human way of thinking again, to the sinner who is struggling to arrive at God's view of things. Well, now, once again, this study starts, the absolute starts at the center and circumference of allness itself, as God's self-awareness, already pure, already perfect, looking without and within at the holy perfection, looking at the beauty that is everywhere present, looking at the ineffable wonders, at those wonders which allness knows itself to be. And then, to the best of our ability, and our ability is infinite, I might tell you, lady, our ability is infinite. But to the best of our ability, as appearances go, we let go the old position, we let go the human vaingloriousness and conceit which would consider itself God's sinful, fallen handiwork, a failure, a stupid, ignorant, struggling sack of skin and bones trying to get back into a state of grace by way of personal sacrifice and personal struggle. Now, there are many sidetracking activities along the way. There are many pitfalls along the way in this activity, as appearances go. First of all, it is very natural for us, for all of us, out of a sense of self-preservation, if nothing else, to attempt to preserve and protect this old sense of identity, this human bag of bones, the body belief, the ego. Yet, that viewpoint of identity must finally be let go entirely. That misidentification is to be let go entirely, totally. It must be offered up in absolute sacrifice. It is a surrender that requires the uttermost farthing. A total surrender. Now, at first it seems that it is the old sinful sense of self that must make the declaration that, behold, God is all. And this identity I am is the being that God is being. It seems at first that a very sinful sense of self has to make such a declaration, but it isn't long. It isn't long until we begin to live out as this identity and see wonder after wonder everywhere. I have discovered a transcendent tranquility. It's a tranquility I never dreamed existed. And now that I found it, I live it, because you see, I am it. Identity is it. I cannot give this tranquility to what appear to be other people. Except to tell others that it is right here and right now, theirs, for the taking. I can tell them that it is theirs for the being. I can tell you that it right here, it is here and yours and you. Well, it appears that all of us have a purpose in mind when we began a study of truth. Those who come here come looking for health, some of them, and some of them want wealth, and some of them are looking for love. Or companionship. The dissolution of desire or loneliness or something. Others are running away from something, maybe grief or guilt, or an unhappy home. Now, nearly everyone, at least up until lately, now that so many young people are beginning to hear of these ideas, but heretofore, many who have been here have studied along one of the many paths of truth. And only to find that those paths led nowhere, and that they were still without a knowledge of a unitive good. You know, back in the day when I was looking for something specific, when I was looking for a specific something or another, I regarded the metaphysical system that would give it to me to be successful. That was my guide for judging it. And I looked over the field of religion, psychiatry and psychology and metaphysics and mysticism, and I couldn't help but note that certain teachers were successful along specific lines. The followers of some were known to become leading business people. The students of others went on to become teachers or something. There were those teachers whose students were noted for their ability to be healers, practitioners, and so forth. Another group has been particularly successful in solving matters pertaining to dollars and supply. Well, I don't go for this labeling business of the various philosophies and hanging tags on them. But if a tag is to be put on this study that you and I are engaged in right here, right now, I want it very clearly known what you can anticipate as the inevitable consequences of this activity. This work, as appearances go, uncovers identity as a tranquility that is unassailable. It uncovers identity as omniscience, as infinite love. The fruits of this endeavor are tranquility and serenity, pure peace, and a love that knows no bounds. We are not in the money demonstrating business. We are not in the health demonstrating business or any kind of healing business or overcoming business. Yet all of these things, all of them appear to become a part of our experience along the way. We do not promise anything, and we are not promised anything but peace. Peace. Simple tranquility. One might call this love. And I can tell you that anyone who will silence intellectuality for a time, and listen to our words about reality, about isness, God, with an open heart, and then who will make the slightest effort to try them out, and practice them, and live them, just the slightest effort, will discover for themselves a sense of freedom, a new sense of relief and release, a sense of equanimity and tranquility he has never known before. And it will be like a newfound seed within the self that grows and grows and develops apace into a powerful, wonderful presence. Oh, but not without what appears to be human trials and tribulations to accompany it. I can tell you that there are no human desires. There are no human designs that any one of us could be seeking here that will compare to this simple, tender peace that is already the identity we are, right here and right now, awaiting recognition. Jesus didn't promise healings or wealth or the solution to problems. Neither did Buddha. Neither did Lao Tzu or any of the lights of the universe. They said to those grown weary of the world, they said, come, come, and I will give you peace. I will give you peace. Not the kind of peace that the world comprehends, but a tranquility that's beyond understanding. Not the kind of tranquility that isn't assailed by doubts, by trials, by tribulations, but a tranquility that cannot be touched by them, and cannot be moved by them. The enlightened, since the beginning of time, have told of peace. They've told of the transcendent tranquility. I do not hesitate at all to tell you that this is the fruit that appears to come from this work, for which, of course, I can take no personal credit, no bill credit. no bill responsibility there for it at all. Because this identity we are is already established forever. There is nothing new about reality. It's been here and very real all the while. And it is inevitable that we should right now be at that place wherein we find ourselves, wherein we discover this self-being I, and where we effortlessly let go all of the silly, nutty encumbrances that have appeared to blind us from ourselves, that have appeared to hide us from our heritage. Now, inasmuch as transcendent isness, God, is everything and all, must this everything and all and its holiness and perfection forever appear to remain a mystery to itself? Must it? We expect to find it eventually, don't we? Well, then why not now? Why not right now? Why not right here, right now, since now is the only time. Okay, now, what I'm saying here is that we can all expect as the fruit of this very tender word. We can expect a growing serenity, a building and developing tranquility and peace, such that it will never leave us nor forsake us. We can't feel that we've lost the light. Not when we recognize that the light is who and what we are. And I'll tell you this too, within this peace, within living it and being it, are all the things that we may have come for, that we may have begun our study of the truth for. Healings, supply, wisdom, love, companionship, home, family, or whatever else. Oh, all of these things will be seen through new eyes, no longer as objects of desire. And when all of these things are put into their proper positions, disenfranchised positions of just no value, that is, of not one thing better than any other, but just things being things, perfection being perfect, well then these things are often looked back on and found to be fulfilled totally and completely in ways infinitely more rewarding than we could have dreamed, than we could have planned and calculated upon. All of which is a denial of the allness of God. And the allness of God is self-evident right here, right now. How? As we come close to a knowledge of what is, that is, as we begin to tangibly see and perceive what identity is, we are confronted at the same time with a tangible seeing of all that identity is not and could never be. But what identity is not and could never be is without power, without importance. It serves only to delineate what identity is. And the reason for this human enigma is very simple. Because as infinite wisdom, we are entitled to know infinitely. Now, a knowledge of what is a limited knowledge, even though isness is itself illimitable. The knowledge of what is limited to itself is still a limited knowledge. Consequently, the knowledge of what is, the infinite knowledge of what is, includes also the realm of fiction, the realm of dream, the realm of fantasy, a knowledge of what is not and could never be. But wisdom knows that the is not and could never be are powerless and serve only to delineate and give us a knowledge of what is. You know, once Jesus was asked, what is the kingdom of heaven like? Now imagine, here he is describing heaven. Now heaven is, by the standards of the theologian, supposed to be perfection, the state of perfection, of total harmony, within which nothing worketh or maketh a lie. And yet Jesus describes heaven as a field of gleaming wheat, within which someone has come and sown tares. Well, have you ever stopped to think? Well, here is the one, the carpenter of Galilee, the one called Christ, describing heaven as a field of wheat within which there are tares. Well, what is the purpose of the tares? The tares are what wheat knows wheat is not and could never be. It is the means by which wheat is infinitely known. Tares are is not wheat, just like anguish and agony are is not tranquility. But the wheat is the real. The tranquility is the real. And the is not wheat, called tares, the is not tranquility, called agony and anguish, are unreal, but they serve the purpose of delineating, so that infinite intelligence infinitely knows what is, beyond theory, beyond speculation, beyond intellectuality. As we've seen, light is the real and the powerful and the authority. And darkness, which appears as an opposite of light, is simply is not light. It is what light knows it is not and could never be. And it is fictitious, because even the physicists will tell us that the absence of light is really an impossibility. It only seems to be present. Darkness only seems to be a fact, because in a dark room that we would say is dark, every molecule of air can be exploded into light. Every stick of wood in the room can be converted to light. The walls that contain the darkness, or make the darkness as appearances go, are themselves naught but energy and light, as any physicist can tell you. And even if we were out in a matterless vacuum and void of space out beyond the Pleiades, the very awareness that would say, aha, this is darkness, that awareness itself would be light itself, because awareness is the perception or the knowing of form, and this is what light is. So you see, is not light is purely the means by which light is fully known, because, my gosh, if darkness, or what is called is not light, didn't present itself on the scene, would we know what light is infinitely? Would we have ever seen the stars? Would we have ever seen the Milky Way? Would we have ever seen the Pleiades? Yet, light and its pseudo-hypothetical absence, called is not light, or like the tares, which serve only to delineate light. Now, light and its delineation, called darkness, are all one light. Just as surely as the alphabet and its letters that delineate it are all one alphabet, just as surely as the principle of arithmetic and the numerals that delineate it are all one principle of arithmetic, as surely as the symphony and the notes that delineate it are all one symphony. So lo and behold, we quit having a dualism. We don't have light and darkness. We have light and light's knowledge of all it is not and could never be. Light and its delineation, its self-delineation, are all one light. Just like the alphabet and its letters are all one alphabet. So our dualism is ended. We find that our anguish only delineates the joy we are. But the joy we are is the real, and the anguish is its self-delineation, and not a two-ness at all. We can look at the anguish and praise its name. We can look at the appearance of guilt and bless it for delineating guiltlessness. We can look at the ill health and praise it for delineating health. We can look at poverty and say, thank you, poverty, for delineating the eternal wealth that is real. Now, what did Jesus say about the tares that delineated the wheat? He said, in this perfect heaven there was a field of gleaming wheat in which someone had sown tares. The human inclination is to pull up the tares, to get rid of the darkness, to heal the sickness, to get rid of the anguish and agony. But what did Jesus say? He said, leave them grow side by side until the day of the harvest, until the understanding, until we understand what is before our eyes. Then he said, then the two will be separated and the one will be burned up. Well, we end our attempt to get rid of darkness. We simply understand what it is and end the dualism, the human dualism connected with it. We see darkness to be all that light knows it is not and could never be. And suddenly the day and the night are the same day. And our dualism is ended. And an eternal youth is all that's on the scene. Jesus said, know what is before thine eyes, and then that which is hidden from thee will be revealed. So we see what is before our eyes and know what it is. We see the appearance of death. We know that the appearance of death is simply is not life. And we know it is what life, infinitely intelligent, omniscient, omnipotent life, knows it is not and could never be. So the appearance of death is life's infinite self-delineation so that it knows itself beyond intellectuality. And we no longer have life and death on the scene. We have infinite, eternal, omniscient, omnipotent life and its self-delineation, which are all one life, not a two-ness at all. Lo, in no other way are we able to so simply and readily have done with the dualism, the attempt to get rid of the delineations, the attempt to get rid of the notes to have only the symphony, the attempt to get rid of the letters to have only the alphabet, the attempt to get rid of the numerals to have only the principle. Lo, we see that the principle and its numerals are all one principle. We see that the letters and the alphabet are all one alphabet. We see that the symphony and its notes are all one symphony. And our dualism is ended. We see that life and the appearance of is not life is all one life. And this is so. While I have struggled with the words to find it, while I struggle with the illustrations to make it plain, I know whereof I speak, and I know. The I that knows is awareness, the knowing of mind, infinite intelligence, not limited only to a knowledge of what is, but because it is infinitely intelligent, it knows full well all that it is not and could never be, and is not fooled thereby, isn't frightened thereby. And in those days there is nothing hidden that will not be revealed. And in those days the day and the night shall be the same.